If you had a case on your iPhone 7 and it still somehow ended up breaking anyways, that's pretty sad, dude. That's disgusting. I'll link some of the most trusted durable cases for the iPhone 7 along with some others down in the video description below. Today we're going to be performing a screen replacement for the iPhone 7. Repair is a valuable skill set that can make you some serious money. If you want to learn more about that, click on the eye annotation in the top right corner of this video to see my playlist on this topic. Let's get started. All tools needed for this repair will be linked down in the video description below. That includes the screen replacement. Located at the base of your phone are two pentalobe screws. Remove them using a pentalobe screwdriver. Because they're distinguishable from the rest of the screws, I don't find it necessary to label them. Now for this next step, most repair videos on YouTube will recommend that you use a heat gun to soften the adhesive below. We're not going to do that in this video just to show that it's possible without it. Insert a very thin blade between the screen assembly and the housing of the phone. Carefully work the blade around the screen and use a secondary object to keep the screen from adhering back together with the body. Be careful not to go too deep underneath the right side. There are some very delicate flex cables connected in this region. This process actually gets harder once you make it to the top of the screen. I took roughly 5 minutes fiddling until I finally figured out how to remove it. Run the blade along the top edge to separate it from the adhesive. Gently lift the screen out of the assembly like you would when opening a book. Okay, so now here is where I give a big f you to Apple. Once again, they made it so move to prevent a third party like myself from repairing their device.
And you can see those incredibly fragile ribbon cables I was talking about earlier. This metal plate protects the connections to the main board. It is held down by 4 Y-shaped screws called a tri-point, or Y000. I'll link all the tools that I use in the video description.
Remove this shield. Disconnect the cables for the LCD, digitizer, camera and speaker.
And these components need to be transferred over to your new unbroken replacement screen.
Carefully remove the metal backplating of the LCD after removing the tri-screws alongside of the display.
To start transferring components, we need to remove the huge metal plate from the back of the screen. There are 3 tri-tip screws on either side.
You're going to transfer the camera and speaker, backplating, and the original Touch ID home button.
All the screws are different sizes, and you do not want to mix them up. 1 more screw is at the top holding down that big metal backplate, and 2 more screws above that holding down the earpiece bracket. Once that earpiece bracket is set off to the side, the earpiece speaker can pop out, and you can see the little spring contact points that rest on the little golden circles. This is how it receives its signal. The front camera ribbon cable is just lightly glued into the frame, so be extremely careful. Pry that out, making sure not to kink or tear it. Here is the ribbon itself. It has the front camera and all of the other front sensors attached to it. Onto the home button. I'm going to explain a few more things about this little guy at the end of the video, so stick around for that. There are a total of 4 screws holding it in place. Remember, keep them organized. The home button bracket can then be removed, and then the metal backplate itself can lift off. It has a little bit of adhesive holding it down to the ribbon cables, and even if your old screen is broken to bits, it is still a good idea to go slow while removing this, so you don't break anything new. And I'll just reiterate, the ribbon cables are extremely fragile. They can tear like paper. Now that the big back metal plate is off, the home button, or touchpad, can be removed by unclipping the little Lego-like connection and then dropping it out of the hole in front of the screen. Now I grab the new replacement screen and I start installing the original components on the screen that isn't broken. Line the metal backplate up with the little screw holes on the sides, and then tuck your original home button from your old phone up through the hole and plug it in. Get the bracket screwed back onto the back of the home button, making sure to put it over the little circular tabs on the metal backplate. And then those 4 screws in the back go in the holes they came from originally. Then the middle backplate has 6 screws to tighten it down, all of them those same little tri-tips. Then we have the front camera ribbon. Fold that back into place like an origami master. The earpiece with its springs will sit on top of the little golden circles, and it will be held down with 2 screws. Then the top bracket will go on top of the earpiece with its own 2 screws. Now to reconnect the screen. The funky looking ribbon cable at the top clips in like a little Lego, and then the bottom 2 ribbons plug in next to the battery connection. Remember, these ribbons are like paper, so do not kink or rip them. Get the battery plugged in, and then I'll test the screen out before I screw all the metal plates back in. If your screen is dark or has lines running through it, or it doesn't respond to touch, it either has a bad connection with the main board or it is just a bad replacement screen.
The end of this video where the parts are transferred to a screen replacement was not recorded by me simply because I don't have the tools to do this repair. Apple caught me off guard with changing the screws. All credit for this portion of the video goes to 𝐿𝐼 from the channel 𝐿𝐼. I definitely recommend checking out his channel. Anyways guys, it's been GD here from Get Fixed, and I'm out. Peace.